All right. This is um this is a frustrating one. This is going to be a bit of a doozy in terms of me kind of trying to keep my head. I have already kind of specified on my community page and stuff that like I'm not feeling particularly well. I'm pretty ill. This result has made me feel even worse, if I'm being totally honest. Let me just quickly do my checks and then yeah, we'll get into this episode and this review. Now, let me pause that. I haven't got my chat up either. I need to do that. Whoops. There we go. But yeah, so Chelsea won, Crystal Palace won, and it was a game that, in many ways, is kind of frustrating because it's a very winnable game. It's a game that we have won a lot of the times in the recent history. We've basically dominated Palace home and away, and in the cups as well. For literally 7 years. Like it's been so long since Palace have got a result against us, and for us to kind of limp over the finish line in this one is rather frustrating. And I'll get onto my frustrations with certain things a little bit later, but it felt like the reason why this game is kind of frustrating to me, and I think the way that I can kind of describe it is that we had the game in like the palm of our hand, and instead of us letting it go like we usually do, it was kind of firmly slapped out of our own hands, and we didn't really have much of a say in it. And it's very, I'm gonna kind of detail when I do my tactical breakdown, because I will be doing a tactical breakdown of this game, because I do think there was kind of some interesting little nuance things that happened in this game. And obviously we've got the international break coming up, so um, I still haven't muted that. I need to do that. And obviously we've got the international break coming up, so we're gonna have that 2 week period. I'm probably, because obviously I'm not feeling very well, and because I've been working non-stop since preseason started, especially with getting things like not only doing my videos but obviously getting the membership stuff done, trying to get partners for the channel unsuccessfully, as you can probably tell, but things like that, just everything that's kind of been working in the background has kind of ground me out, and I do need a bit of a break. We'll be going on holiday in October though, so that's another break. Yeah, we could have. The thing is, like, with also hi, by the way, I'm being rude. I haven't said hi to you guys that are in chat. I am reading your messages. Yeah, it's one of those things where it felt like we kind of, as you said, we kind of missed that kind of spark on the left wing specifically in this game. I feel like, and I do think that when Mudryk came on, he was actually I felt frustrated by the fact we didn't shift the ball to Mudryk more in the second half, because every time he got the ball, you could hear in the stadium the crowd was going ooh, and they were kind of getting up to, like, the anticipation for him to do something was higher than any other player on the ball. And obviously he picked out that really good pass to Jackson right at the end as well. He's not going to be a player I'm going to be talking about here because he didn't get enough game time. Let us get into this episode, if I can remember how to do it. I forgot. Here. Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and welcome to Season 2 of Feeling Blue. Let's go. Alright, welcome to Feeling Blue. As usual, I've got 7 points, and we're going to go from left to right. You may also be able to hear I have turned down the background music. I've been getting a lot of complaints that the background music is too loud, so I've turned that down. Hopefully it's not as annoying now. It's not going anywhere, but hopefully it's not as graining on the ears. As I said, this is probably going to be quite a quick stream. I'm not feeling particularly great. I will rattle off my points, and the majority of the points I do have today are actually going to be positive ones. Despite the result being slightly disappointing, and the game in general being very frustrating, I do think that we overall played pretty well, and we were kind of, again, through no fault of our own really, we kind of didn't win. We didn't have the capacity to win this game. Let's talk about the first player that's going to go in the box here, and he's the player on the thumbnail, and he's a player that I've been advocating for since before we even bought him, and I've been having so many conversations with people about this guy. It's Nicholas Jackson. Now, we had this whole saga with, are we going to get a new striker? Are we going to get Osimhen and all this, and everyone, and I put it to you guys in my preview that, how did you think our transfer window went? A lot of people in the comments basically said the same thing, and it was that everything was fine except we didn't get a striker. I'm a person that believes that we never needed one. I think that Jackson is a perfectly good striker for us. I think this game was a good example of that. I think he was involved in most good things that happened. Obviously, getting the first goal, and it's one of those finishes which a lot of people go, "Oh, it's a tap in, it's a tap in, it's a tap in." Oh, blah. But I'm a big believer in the fact that like tap ins are the best type of goal that a striker can score, because it means they're in the good positions. And we kind of felt frustrated with Nico at times last season because he wasn't getting into those positions to kind of tap the ball in, and it always felt like sometimes he just wasn't arriving in the box when he needed to be. It's good to see him doing that. Obviously the the whole idea of us getting Osimhen is the fact that he's so good in the box and he's a good finisher in the box. But if Jackson's doing that and providing more outside the box, which he does way better than Osimhen, and doesn't cost an extortionate amount of money and doesn't completely ruin our wage structure, I think that we should have just stuck with him. He put in a very good performance today. Again, he did miss a couple of chances towards the end of the game, but it's one of those things where, like, I'm not going to put it against him when he misses chances if he keeps getting those chances, because he will score goals. And obviously, I always say this, if you get a goal contribution, you go into the good box. Yeah, again, it's one of those things. I think we just need to put more faith in him. He needs to kind of step up and be the main man this year, because he kind of was forced to do that last year and he wasn't really ready for it. I think this year he's ready to be the main guy, and obviously Guiu can kind of drop into that role when needs be. We have Nkunku who can play there, we have Felix who can play there as well. I think that he'll be fine for us. Speaking of goal contributions, let's put the next man in the box. I'm going to be putting in Cole Palmer. Now, a little tiny bit of a quieter game for him, I would say, than he's used to. It's no 3 or 4 goals and assists, but he did get an assist, and it's a very good one, a very difficult one to do with the outside of his boot when he's running through. I'm not actually going to be putting Noni into one of these boxes, so I don't think he was overall that good in this game, but I do want to give a little bit of a mention to Noni because of how good that he played in the build-up to this goal. Palmer was one of our only players that was kind of trying to actually create in this game, and it was very frustrating because a lot of our forward players in this game, Neto didn't really have the greatest kind of showing, Madueke found it difficult at times. Palmer was the one who was kind of trying to get on the ball and being like, okay, let's actually create something, and he was really forced to kind of drop deep and try and pick up the ball in like not the space that you want him to be getting the ball. We want to be seeing him picking up the ball on the outside of the box, that kind of space. He was kind of finding it a little bit deeper because he was having to go deep because Palace were playing so deep, and obviously we knew that they would do this. I'm not ever going to get I'm not going to ever get frustrated by the way that teams set up. If we know that Palace are a small team, we know that they do not have the better players than us. We know that they have been beaten by us 14 times in a row. They were always going to sit back and try and counter us. They were always going to absorb pressure. They were always going to park the bus. I'm not going to disagree with that. That's just the thing that we knew they were going to do. It was our job, and it was our it was the dice was cast to us in the way of that we were the ones that needed to break that down and figure out that puzzle, and unfortunately we didn't really figure out how to do that quick enough. I feel like we were in the ascendancy towards the end of the game, but due to certain time wasting and injuries and weird fouls and things, we didn't really get as much time to kind of work than we kind of needed to when we did start rallying. And it was actually nice for once to see the Stamford Bridge crowd actually getting loud and trying to spur on our team, because they haven't done that for ages, so it was good to see that. But yeah, Palmer was the one player that I felt really was trying his hardest to kind of make things happen. It wasn't always working out for him. I do think he got a bit tired because he was constantly having to run back to kind of pick up the ball. And part of that was due to the system we played. We played a slightly different system to the one we're used to. And I will detail that in the tactical breakdown that'll come out later this week, next week, because it's Sunday today, but I'll detail that a little bit more, and I'll go over some of the terrible decisions that happened in the game. I'm not going to go over all of them today. I will mention that later. Let's move into the medium box. There's only going to be one player in this medium box. I say player, it's not a player, it's our manager, Enzo Maresca. And you know me, I'm an objective person. I will always call out our manager, even though I like him, even though I agree with his tactics. I'll always call him out when he doesn't do the right things. And I think this is one of those games where he set us up well from the start, but then he didn't really have the balls to kind of make rash decisions to try and get us back into the game once we conceded. I feel like a lot of the substitutions that he made were quite safe. It was just like for like, and there wasn't really any kind of urgency in the fact that we needed to get a goal, and like getting 3 points was a vital thing here. Obviously, we saw that the only change that was kind of slightly wacky was Gusto coming off, but that was a forced change due to injury, and maybe the forced change due to injury changed what he was going to do, but I really felt that we played this game, we had Keane and Dewsbury Hall on the bench, and our midfield was very, very tired. We could tell that they were very, very tired. They've been running around in the sun for 80 minutes. They were absolutely knackered. He didn't come on, which is kind of frustrating. We had Caicedo on the bench, who I constantly am saying this. Caicedo is the perfect bench player because he's massive, he's really good in the box, and nothing else. You just put him up in the box for the rest of the half, pretty much, and he will get opportunities. We saw it when he played for when he was playing for the Italian youth team, that his main threat was the fact that they would just lump balls into the box and he would always win them. That's the one thing that he's good at, and the fact that he was on the bench today, I thought maybe possibly we could have seen that, but we didn't, which is kind of frustrating. And then again, just Felix comes on, and he doesn't do great. He had a bit of sparks in his game. I don't think him playing on the wide left is very particularly good for him. I think Mudryk playing on that left wing is better, and Felix could probably should have come on later. I feel like Mudryk should have been the one to go on first. I felt that Nkunku going onto the wide right is also really weird. I felt like we could have shifted him into the centre and put Palmer wide, who Palmer can obviously play on the wide areas, and he's got the left foot to kind of cut in and do what he needs to do. I just felt like a lot of the decisions that we made in terms of substitutions that Enzo made just wasn't really. It was very, as I said, it was very safe, and it wasn't very like. There wasn't that desperation to try and get back into the game. It felt like it was kind of, oh, well, we might score. We're playing kind of well. We'll just leave it and see what happens. And that does kind of annoy me, but yeah. Let's talk about something. Speaking of annoying me, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off here and talk about the thing that annoyed me the most about this game. And then we've got 3 more positives to talk about, which I'll go into. And you guys know what's going to be here. You know from the title, you knew from the game, you knew as soon as you clicked on the stream that I was going to talk about these bastards, and it's for the referees. I'm sick of it. I say this every time I have to talk about these pricks. I hate it. It's so annoying. Every single time I have to talk about these pricks. And right, I have a specific box for Anthony Taylor. Jared Gillett made Anthony Taylor look like a competent ref in this game. Like, genuinely, I was sitting there thinking, maybe I've been a bit too harsh on Anthony Taylor after I watched his performance. This was horrific. And I said, when I do my tactical breakdown, I'm literally going to do a section where I just talk about all of the decisions that happen. I'm going to go through every single foul, pretty much, and point out how horrific this refereeing performance was, because I don't care if the ref is bad, but be bad for both teams. Like, just if you're going to be terrible for both teams. The fact that you were only giving fouls and yellow cards and things to our team and doing it so blatantly royally annoys me. And I'm not going to sit here and say that this was a game that was dictated by the referees, because I don't think it was. I think that this is a game that we could have won without the referees' help. However, this is a game that should have been dictated by the referees and wasn't, because, and this is the reason why I'm annoyed, the game changed in the 50th minute when Will Hughes made a second yellow card worthy tackle and did not get sent off, and that completely flipped the game on its head. Completely. It felt like when that happened, our players went, oh, well, we're just not going to win this. Look at what we're going against. It felt like as soon as that happened, Crystal Palace obviously immediately substitute him off, because they're like, well, this guy's going to get a card at this point. Somehow he didn't. They immediately subbed him off, and they got such a confidence boost from the fact that he didn't get sent off, and the fact that we kind of went, ugh, and just slumped. And they put the pressure on us, and obviously they got the goal back from Eze. And I'm not gonna take any credit away from that goal, because that's a fantastic finish from Eze. I love the player. I do like him. I think he's a very good talent. I do think that maybe we could have closed him down a little bit better, but Fofana blocks the original shot and he's kind of recovering, so it's kind of hard for him to do that. I'm not going to put too much blame there. Really, as I said, wonderful finish. Sanchez, no, absolutely no chance to get it. But yeah, he probably wouldn't have got that goal if the referee decided to actually do his job and send off Will Hughes, because they probably would have immediately reserved and gone, okay, let's hold and try and play on the counter more, rather than having extended spells of possession like they ended up doing. Let's talk about Daichi Kamada, should I? Let's talk about that. 4 or 5 fouls that Daichi Kamada makes in this game, right? 3 of them are nailed on yellow card challenges. Doesn't get a single card in this game. 2 of our players, that being Neto and Fofana, got yellow cards for their first challenges. The one which pisses me off the most is the Neto challenge, because it's literally the exact same challenge that Kamada makes. The exact same challenge. He gets a card for it. Kamada doesn't. That frustrates me. He stays on the pitch somehow. We get 2 yellow cards for absolutely nothing. Palmer gets a card for kicking the ball in frustration, and it wasn't a matter of him showing frustration towards the referee, which is what they usually give cards for. If you're like, oh, you bore off referee, this is a bad decision. He didn't do that. He was frustrated at himself. He was like, oh god, for fuck's sake, I should have been doing better than that, and he kicks the ball. That's not a card. Jackson gets carded for playing on because he didn't hear the whistle. Like, what? What? Like, it's just ludicrous. It's just genuinely ludicrous. And I sit here just watching and just being like, surely there's got to be someone in his ear being like, okay, mate, make it less obvious now. Make it less obvious. You're making it too obvious that you're on Palace's side, and there wasn't throughout the whole game. The only other thing that I can kind of talk about the referees, and I think this may have been a factor in the fact that Hughes didn't get sent off, is that referees in this league, we talk about the incompetence, we talk about the inconsistency, we talk about the just general poor quality of our referees. The thing which I want to talk about is the retroactive refereeing that they do, which fucks me off to no end. This, I guarantee, if this game was played on the Friday or played on the Saturday, Will Hughes would have seen red, but because of the decision that happened on Saturday with Declan Rice getting sent off, this was not a second yellow, because there's this all conversation about, oh, there shouldn't be a second yellow for Declan Rice, right? There's this all big hoo-ha about it in the media. I think the referees are just immediately are like, they are too scared to do the same thing again, because they know they're going to get people on their back, and that's the only thing I can think of as why Hughes hasn't been sent off. He's on a yellow card and he's dragged down a player outside the box, and they give it as a foul. So why is it not a card? I don't get it. It's just, it just frustrates me, because we always get these games where we don't do good enough, and I want to sit here and say we didn't do well enough to score in this game. We didn't do well enough to get back into the game, but it always has that caveat. There's always that caveat of that the referee has made such a horrific decision in the game that it's like, well, maybe if that decision went in our favour like it should have done, we could have actually won this game. And it really, 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 really bugs me, because it's like, I want to be objective. I want to be talking about our players. I want to be talking about tactical analysis. I don't want to be talking about these black-wearing bastards that just throw cards all around the place when it's a Chelsea player and don't care when it's the other team. It pisses me off. It's just like, oh, it just pisses me off. I don't want to talk. I hate every single fixture, every single match week. We see everything in the news. Doesn't matter what team it's for. There's always some kind of, oh, this referee has screwed us this day. Oh, this referee has done this. There's dedicated Twitter accounts to, has the referee or VAR made a mistake this week? Yes, they have, and they see it every single week. They get to post, and they're earning bank off of that Twitter account. I tell you that, they're earning bank. But it's just frustrating because I don't want to talk about them, but it's what I have to constantly do, because I swear they must do it deliberately to get into the media, and they do it deliberately to make a name for themselves. I think that this league would be so much better if we didn't know the names of referees, if they just went anonymous, if they wore masks and just we didn't know who they were. I really wish that was the way it went, because the fact that they get all this notoriety in the media and stuff, they just play the game and they just ref the game in a way that they just want to get like eyes on them, and it's just so fucking annoying. It's just so fucking annoying. I'm just not even going to talk about it anymore. That's my rant done. Let's talk about some more positives, because I'm sick to death of those guys. Next player I'm going to be putting in here is for Malagusto. Now, I don't think he's been having the greatest start to life in this new system under Maresca. I think that this was one of his best games, and I think he genuinely stopped 2 nailed-on goals. Yeah, I'm kind of ignoring things that I'm seeing, by the way. I'll let you guys sort it. It's fine. But yeah, Malagusto saved 2 golden, like, there was golden chances for Palace to score, and he sacrificed his own well-being to block things. So I'm going to be putting Gusto there. I do think that he was playing in a bit of a different role, because he wasn't playing directly as a right back. He wasn't playing directly as that kind of right centre mid. He was playing kind of in between. Because yeah, we were playing kind of. Okay, hang on. I'm just going to address this. 7 years without a striker, dude. Like, I know you come into my chat and you're going to talk shit about our ownership, right? Do you not see that we have a striker in the good box, and a striker that literally scored today? Without a striker, our striker scored today. He scored against Wolves. 2 goals in 2 games for Nicholas Jackson. You think we don't have a striker? Bore off with your shit. Bore off with it. And I've spoken about Osimhen in the start of this stream, so once this goes on the VOD, you can go back and see what I said about that, because that's silly. But there we go. Yeah, well, anyway, just distracting me. But yeah, Gusto, I think, as I said, he wasn't playing in his usual kind of right centre mid role. He was playing in this kind of weird, almost playing it as the 10 at times, because obviously Palmer was having to drop deep to get the ball. Enzo was having to drop deep to get the ball. We was obviously playing, we obviously were having to play Caicedo in this kind of central centre-back role half the game, because we were kind of trying to match up their 3 at the back with our 3 at the back. And as again said, I'll talk about that more in the tactical breakdown. But yeah, I think Gusto, just for the fact that he basically prevented Palace from winning this game, I will put him in this box. We briefly mentioned him there, so I'm going to talk about him now. Moises Caicedo. My personal man of the match in this game was Moises Caicedo. I think this is one of the best. You know what? Sorry, man. I'm just gonna do something here real quick. There you go. Sorry, I'm just timing that guy out because he's pissing me off. I think that Caicedo had one of his best performances in a Chelsea shirt in this game. He was everywhere. He was on fire, putting in tackles and just trying to put himself about. And it was one of those situations where we've always praised him for the fact that he's been good at his defensive work, and we've never really seen that kind of, oh, he's the next coming of Kante type player that we kind of expected that we were getting from Brighton. And he's had a very slow start to this season. Today, I think that he was really, really up for it. And obviously, as I said, he was playing in this weird kind of central centre-back position for half the game. I think that he was really, really good here. And I felt like, especially considering he played a lot of minutes, he obviously played in the Svet game too. I was very surprised that he actually put in as good a performance as he did, especially in the heat, because it's very hot, as you could probably tell. The light is beaming through my window because the sun is out. But yeah, I think that he, as I said, not only just the fact that he was very defensively good, he was winning his aerial duels up against like Mateta as well at times, which is kind of crazy. Okay, like, bro, I'm just gonna have to do this. Apologies for those of you who are enjoying the stream without being whiny little bitch babies. The rest of you can get timed out. There we go. But anyway, yeah. So, and especially he was winning his aerial duels in the defensive situations as well. He was cutting the ball out a lot. He was getting us back onto the attack. And I think that a lot of our kind of chances that we got, especially in the first half, came from Caicedo winning the ball back. And obviously we kind of expected that. And obviously with him stepping into this role, because we know Lavia is the preferred 6, I'm very happy that he's able to kind of come in and we don't lose that kind of solid defensive situation that we kind of have with Lavia. But yeah, I think he was very, very good today. Much improved, and part of the reason why he's in here is just because he was so much better than he has been in the few games at the start of this season. He's been a little bit slow, but in this game he was right up to speed again. Let's go into the final good of this, and then we'll run the poll. I'm going to be giving it to, and this sounds weird because we conceded the goal here, I'm going to be giving it to the partnership of Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana, because I think that these two genuinely have really locked in and has really become this really decent, solid centre-back partnership that we've been looking for. I think for Fofana was kind of shifted into a bit of a weird position because he was playing as a right-back at times. Obviously, towards the end of the game when we kind of made substitutions and the team got shifted around, he was playing kind of like this right centre-back, right-back, whilst Caicedo was playing as a right wing-back. I think that these two were very, very good, and I think it's a credit to them, the fact that Jean-Philippe Mateta, who is a really, really good target man, a really, really good finisher, and a really just a giant menace up top, was completely silent in this game. Completely. Colwill was up against him mainly. I think Fofana was obviously a bit wider, and Colwill was trying to be the guy who kind of out-muscled him and kind of made his life difficult. And Colwill especially, I'm going to put them both in here, but Colwill especially I think was really, really solid today. Sanchez, yeah, I do find that really funny. Sanchez heading the ball away. It's one of those situations where it's like, well, I can't handball it, so I've got to try and get it out somehow. It's really funny. But yeah, I think these two are slowly becoming, like, again, a really solid partnership. And I think against teams that don't play a three at the back formation, we would have done way better in this game, just because of how these two defended and that platform that the platform that these two give us to kind of go forward was good. Unfortunately, we didn't really use that platform that we were given to create more chances than we actually did, and we could have got more from this game. We didn't. I think these two are very solid. Shout out to Marc Cucurella as well. I think Marc Cucurella was very, very good. Don't have enough points out of the 7 to kind of put him in here, but Marc Cucurella I think was also pretty decent. For the most part, it's one of those things where it's just like that one kind of that one chance that they get where it's like, oh cool, they score a wonder goal. You know, remember when we did remember when we had the that situation when we had Kepa in goal, where it was just kind of like, hey, let's just shoot from outside the box and we'll see what happens. I feel like that was we kind of had a that kind of situation today, where it was just like, oh, one wonder goal from Eze just like takes it out. Wait, did I miss a new member? Did I miss a new member? I think I did. Crimson is a member. I don't think you were a member before. So thank you for becoming a member. If you want to become a member, there's the join button down below the stream. I told you, it's 99 pence a month. You get loads of perks. You can read them on the join thing. I'm not going to peddle my shit too much. Do subscribe though. If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, do subscribe, because I am trying to hit 20k by the end of the year. We're in September now, so I don't know how achievable that is, but yeah. Let's go on to the poll here, because we're going to be putting in, we're going to be voting for our True Blue. And again, I can only put in 4 options here, so I'm going to be putting in the options that I think deserve it the most, and you guys can vote between yourselves on that. I know I've got both of them in there. I'm just gonna put Colwill because I think he was the better of the 2 centre backs. There we go. You guys vote. Oh, great. You guys vote for that. I'm going to take a sip. It is very hot today. It's 26 degrees where I am currently, which doesn't sound hot to those of you that are in different countries, but I live in Britain where we have very poor infrastructure, no air conditioning, and the humidity is in the 60s. So, very, very hot. And obviously, as I've mentioned, I'm very, very ill, so that doesn't help either. But yeah, I think... Yeah, Henderson had a really, really good showing. Not only did he save that Madueke shot that you've mentioned, but the one that he saved, the double save that he made against Jackson at the end of the game, is really, really vital for them winning this game. Or I say winning, getting something out of this game. I always do that. That's a slip up that I always make, is that whenever we draw a game, it feels like we've lost. So I just assume that the other team has won. But there we go. Yeah, I think for the most part, again, it was one of those situations where, and I didn't really get to talk about this in my tactical breakdown, which kind of frustrated me because I already ran on for like half an hour when obviously it was like a really long episode of the lead-in that I put out yesterday. I wanted to talk about how the way that we kind of needed to get space on the wings was by playing it centrally first and then getting it to the wings, and I never really got to the kind of explanation of why, and I never really got to what's the word, describe how to break down this low block, because we kind of knew that they were going to do it. Unfortunately, we were unable to do that, and it was just one of those things where, like, I felt like, again, I said this before, like, we got some more success in the second half when we started playing the ball out to Mudryk. I just wish that he kind of was given the ball more and just put on the pitch quicker. And like, I think that Mudryk is a very good like option off of the bench. I don't think he's a good starting. I don't think he's the greatest starting winger because, again, he's not the finished article, and we know he's not the finished article. But the one thing that we know that he has is that burst of acceleration, is that pace. And when a team is already tired, bringing Mudryk on, it must be like, again, I said this with Madueke, it must be so frustrating as like a fullback, especially someone who's 33 years old, like Klein is, to be running all around all game in the hot summer day in the middle of the afternoon, and then just to see, this pacey Ukrainian who's literally the fastest player in the league is just coming up against me. It must be like, like, absolutely, I've got to run backwards towards my own goal. It must be so draining just seeing him come on the pitch. I wish that we kind of used him more as like that impact sub of just, hey, let's give it to Mudryk and just see what happens. Unfortunately, he didn't really get as much of a I spoke, hang on, sorry, I was answering someone's question. I spoke about this earlier. I think that if I was making subs in this game, I would have brought Mudryk on earlier instead of Felix. I wouldn't have brought him on. I would have brought on Kieran Dewsbury-Hall because I think he brought a bit more energy, and I think Enzo was quite tired towards the end of the game. I would have brought on Cassidy, who was on the bench, because he's an aerial threat in the box. And another thing which I kind of didn't mention earlier, but I feel like we could have definitely done, is we could have, and obviously we've been rotating our strikers because obviously Guiu plays in the conference games and Jackson plays in the league games, but I feel like we could have brought Guiu on and been like, hey, let's put two strikers up top and just launch the ball into the box and see what happens. Yeah, and it's like we're seeing, I don't want to make too many like final judgments or anything. We're literally 3 games into the season, into the league season anyway. We are seeing the signs that things can be good. It's just that kind of, we need to get the connections right, and I feel like that's kind of something that I can kind of finish this off with. I think this game was a game where, because we were switching things around with substitutes and stuff like that, it kind of, the connections that we have with players and that link up that they usually have, and that kind of psychic kind of connection that a lot of the players have, that like telepathic, I know where you're going to be, kind of got lost towards the end of the game because we sorry, I've just seen that. I'm a bit old-fashioned. I like putting 2 strikers in the box and just whipping it in. But no, it felt like it was like, I've completely lost my train of thought. What was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah, it felt like the kind of connections that we usually have weren't there, and towards the end of the game, we kind of just, we kept seeing players like, and maybe this is also just a bit of like tiredness. It was very hot and it's very draining to be running around in the sun. It felt like a lot of the times our players just kind of weren't on the same page. We saw like Enzo passing the ball off the pitch when Fofana made a run forward, and we saw Palmer trying to play it through and it not going through. We saw Felix make an absolutely beautiful run into the box, and instead of passing it to Nkunku, he'd shot, and things like that. We just see like that final little bit just needs to click, and as I said, that will happen in time. It's only 3 weeks into the season. Hopefully we get to see more from them. I don't actually know who our next game is against. I know obviously we've got the international break. Let me check that real quick, because I always forget to check beforehand because I'm an idiot. It's Bournemouth. Oh, speaking of It's Kepa, let's shoot. It's Bournemouth next. Excellent. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now, 2 weeks in advance. Cole Palmer scoring a long ranger in that game against Bournemouth. I'm calling it. Or Caicedo. He might score a long ranger. That's a night kickoff. That's on the 14th, so it's literally 2 weeks from now. Obviously, we got the international break, which I believe is 2 weeks long. Obviously, I said I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to do my... Oh, can Kepa not... Well, I mean, he can play against us if we allow him to. It's a thing where we can give permission for him to play. So it depends on whether we do that or not. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure why we would say no, considering he probably makes Bournemouth worse. But there we go. The secret agent Kepa could help. Yeah, I don't know who is Bournemouth's other goalkeeper. Is it? Do they still have Neto? I don't remember who they've got. But regardless, I think long range is for days if Kepa is in goal. Let's end the poll because I forgot to do that. The poll has finished and it is a tie, a direct tie between Caicedo and Palmer. I think that's the first time this has ever happened. Neto went to Arsenal, yeah. I was gonna say I didn't think it was Neto. That's why I was like I don't think he was there anymore. So Palmer and Caicedo both taking the true blue today. I said I think that's the first time we've ever gotten a draw. Who is that? Oh God, it's gonna bug me because I when I did my ranking every kit video and when I was doing my Premier League predictions, I literally looked at the squad list of every single team, and you know what's funny is that I have updated the Palmer graphic. I just haven't uploaded it into this thing for some reason. What I'm using is Microsoft Whiteboard when I do these. For some reason, when you update the actual picture files, it doesn't update in the board. You have to re-upload them. I haven't done that. I was going to do that after this game because obviously we got the break, but also because I need to put in Sancho because Sancho isn't in here yet. So obviously I've done the graphic for him, but I just need to put him in. So yeah, that's the reason why Palmer still hasn't been updated. He actually is updated, and you'll see that when you actually look in the previews, he's got his new kit on, but for some reason in this he doesn't. Is it Travers who's the second choice? He used to play for Burnley, right? I believe. I said I find it. People always joke about Palmer that he's so funny because he's like a player that has so much aura, but you look at him and he just doesn't feel like he would ever have that because he looks so like what's the word? And I can attest this because I'm a person that's like this myself. It looks very socially awkward. But yeah, those two are your true blues for today. As I said, I'll be back later next week for the tactical breakdown, and then I'm probably going to take about a week break. Liverpool beating United right now, I'll probably take a gander at that game too. And yeah, I'm gonna hopefully not die of my illness that I'm struggling from. Thank you guys for sticking around, and thank you Crimson for the new membership as well. The link for the Discord and stuff, by the way, is on a post that's in the membership only section of the community tab, so you can look for that if you want to get in there. As I said, thank you guys for hanging around as always. I will hit my outro. You guys have a lovely evening, and I'm going to go bang my head against the wall and do a ritual circle that something bad happens to Jared Gillett. See you guys. And that was just my Feeling Blue match review for this game. I hope to see you here for the next one. But if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these two videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.